Hi guys, Chris Sutton here for Executive Coaching. Today, this series, it's going to be a three-part series about breaking the industry cycle. Let's define what that cycle is. The cycle, when you get into business, we get into business because we love what we do. Doesn't matter. Insert your style right here. Kempo, karate, tai chi, it doesn't matter. You love doing it. Now we want to do it for a living. You're no longer in the business of training and earning rank. You're always a student. Now you're in the business of providing for yourself and your family. That's critical, isn't it? Would you take a job that said, you're not going to get paid a lot, if ever? We're going to pay you less than your bills are. So if your bills are $1,500, we're going to pay you roughly $700 a month. And we're just going to keep going. There's not a whole lot of progress, and we don't really have much for you. Would you like that job? And as funny as that sounds, no one wants that job. But as martial artists, as self-defense instructors, fitness personnel, professionals, whatever it is you do, when you get into this industry, you're in this industry, A, because you're a good tactician. You should be, period. You don't get into this industry without being proficient at your skills. But bear in mind this, you don't get paid to throw punches or kicks. You just don't. When you were a student, you did it for the love. When you open a business, you have created overhead, risk, all these different challenges. You have to complete a service. You have to charge for that service. You have to know business. You have to know the business of what you're doing. And it doesn't just come with experience. You can be a broke, struggling expert forever and never get an edge because there was no opportunity for you, and you have repeated the cycle that you were in coming up as a student. So we're going to talk about breaking the industry cycle. And when I refer back to what I had just mentioned about kicking and punching and knee strikes and elbows and palm heel strikes and my technique is better than yours, all that good stuff, that keeps good professionals from becoming great. That keeps professionals down. There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of great boxers, great MMA personnel, great martial artists who could never be successful at a business because that's a completely different dynamic. You need to become a black belt and a black belt in business or a proficient at whatever you're doing, whatever, self-defense, fitness, whatever it is. If you're a real estate agent, it doesn't matter your profession, you need to become really good at it. Then you have to know how to make money doing it. And the fusion between those is what's missing overall in the industry. Is that my opinion? No, that's what we talk to individuals all over the world. That's the one thing we get to do here, and we're privileged to do at the corporate headquarters is fielding calls from Sweden. It doesn't matter if it's Australia, Europe, Africa, North, South, Canada, the Caymans, the Dominican Republic, and all over the United States. So getting a picture of the current landscape is pretty easy for us. Going back to being that tactician, there's a kid in Ohio in his basement who's throwing the best kicks and punches you've ever seen. And he's an amateur and doesn't own a business. He's just hanging out in his parents' basement doing what he learned in class last night. What's the difference between him and you? You can both kick and you can both punch. Maybe one a little bit better than the other. Are we leaning on our trophies? Are we leaning on our past accolades to cash a check? You can't. You absolutely can't. So what we hear when we field these calls is, I've been doing this for a long time. That's one of the worst things that you can hear, and your heart goes out. I've been in business 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, and I ask, and our executives and our staff members, they always ask, they want to know the story. Well, tell us about exactly what you're doing, where you're at, and then we find if they're making up excuses, whatever it is, or if they're just not willing to change their business model. Keep in mind, if you want to teach self-defense and personal safety, you've now opened up to the entire market. There's not one person, if you went to Disneyland today, thousands of people at Disneyland, I know, I live in Florida, I take the kids all the time, a sea of people. If you just took a quick survey and you asked 100 people, would you like to sign up with me and learn karate or any martial art and take 3 to 5 years and earn a black belt, and we all love that, we're all martial art guys, or do you want to learn personal safety and self-defense in a 1-day, 5-week, or 10-week academy in a global brand? And immediately they go to the self-defense because they want personal safety. They can understand that. They can wrap their head around it. It's a short commitment. So everyone wants to be safe. Everyone wants that security. Everyone wants that skill set. We know as martial artists, if you are one, that's a huge thing. I mean, it builds character. It paves the road to success for life. But trying to make a living pushing that is awfully difficult for a lot of guys. I know I was one of them. I opened my school in 2002. The landlord promised that there was going to be an entrance right there where the construction was going on, and then they built an overpass, a major overpass on the big highway in front of us, blocking everything. And I never got that entrance, so even GPS doesn't know where we're at. If you've been to our location in Clearwater, our flagship location, our initial location all those years ago, you know how difficult it is to get in there. So we opened up our school, and I had all the lineage in the world, just like a lot of guys. Trained with Joe Louis, and he trained with a guy named Bruce Lee, and kids gravitated. We had a fitness program that was huge, but the adult signups, doesn't matter. They don't care who they don't care who you train with. And when Do and Kwana Itsu started rolling out of your mouth, it's like Charlie Brown's teacher. They just tune you out. So COBRA was actually built out of necessity. Hey, I'm a good instructor. I want to teach more adults. To me, that's more fulfilling. I love teaching kids, but I wanted to teach more adults. So we developed COBRA, and it was the ultimate magnet to feeding our adult programs, whether it was martial arts, COBRA, or fitness. They were just drawn to that. So let's go back to breaking the cycle. That's what this is all about. That's what this video series is all about in executive coaching. You break the cycle. And here's what the cycle is. In the martial arts industry, this is what we hear. I broke away I came up as a student. I earned my black belt. Or I prematurely broke away because I wanted to start my own school and compete with someone else, and I wanted to be the man, so I opened up across the street. You open up, you're excited, you have your grand opening, you tell all your friends, you're the best kicker and puncher in town. Your website is full of all your credentials, and you lead with technique. We lead with technique. Look at me, look what I can do, look what I've done. And then we realize, well, we got to offer value. Let's offer value to our students. So we open up and we generally model what we came from, be it successful or not. And most martial arts schools don't last 2 years, and even furthermore, 5. So we open up and then we just repeat the model that we just left. If that instructor was struggling, if he had another job that he had to work just to keep his doors open, it doesn't matter if you've been in business 18 years. How many years have you been able to go to work as an instructor and pay your bills in your home and not struggle? And to be clear, let's define struggling. It's after 2 or 3 years, if you can't bring home profit, if you can't pay bills, that's struggling. If you're constantly at the end of the month, you're out of money and you're sweating bills all the time, that's struggling. If it's causing problems in the home, the significant other, hey, did you make anything today? When's the school going to start profiting? That's struggling. So to define struggling, it has to be able to pay your bills, or it's just a hobby. And if it's just a hobby, that's great. A hobby is defined as something that doesn't interfere with my financial or personal life. I just do it for fun. And if you're going to do something for fun, you might as well just be a student and not have all the hassle of owning a school. So struggling is not being able to make a living teaching what you are as an expert for a prolonged amount of time. There's always going to be hiccups in the beginning. Every business is like a baby. It needs a lot of attention. It needs to be held. It can't walk on its own. It needs to be fed and nurtured. There comes a time when that baby starts to walk and gets more coordinated and more mature, and then it begins to take care of itself. It's on autopilot. It's a 7, 8, 9-year-old, and then it's full grown, it's mature, and that's what the business process is, from baby to maturity. So back to the cycle. We are in our first or second year as a new instructor. We broke away. We repeated the same cycle. We throw the word Taekwondo, martial art, whatever it is out front, and they're just going to flock. I have no business background, or very limited. And when we talk about business background, legitimate, going to college or seeking out an education in marketing and business, or going to seminars where there have been legitimate, proven, successful individuals that can help you with your business. the Martial Art Teacher Association, any of these, you have business consulting firms, whatever it is. These individuals have paved that road. They understand what it takes. They've seen 1,000 schools. They've talked to thousands of owners. They know the landscape and they can direct you. And that's what we do here at COBRA with self-defense specific business. So back to the cycle. 24 months go by and all that money that I built and started with the business, and remember, anyone can start a business. A guy that's never taken a martial art in his life can open a martial arts school. All it takes is money. But eventually the money runs out. 24 months, 36 months we're in. Got a handful of adults, 40, 50 kids maybe. Can't get those adults and we wonder why. And we keep going, I got a black belt and I'm this and I'm that and I'm this. The market doesn't want it. The market doesn't necessarily want to sign up for this long-term commitment and all this money in something they really don't understand. We have to start thinking outside the gi. 2, 3, 4 years in, we shut down because we just can't afford it. Or the alternative, we just keep throwing money at it. Keep throwing money. Cash in your 401k, sell some stuff, anything to keep that school open. Got to keep the school open. It would be failure if I shut down the school. Well, if you're not succeeding year after year after year, that is failing if you don't implement successful change. There's ups and downs, there's economic tide, but then we start leaning on excuses. It's my location, my location's horrible. Your location is your cell phone. It's your smartphone. Someone can find you in 10 seconds. I don't care if you're in an industrial lot behind a junkyard. They can find you. It's very, very simple. Internet, directions, they call, yeah, we're behind the junkyard, take a left, GPS will take you. It's very simple. It's not like the old days, flipping through yellow pages, and then I got to call, and then I got to manually give you directions. These smartphones, they're smart. Google Maps, hit send, and I'm on my way. I don't have enough signage. Once again, you don't need signage. I live in a poor neighborhood. I live in a rich neighborhood. No one likes this stuff. Any town USA, go to any town USA, there's always going to be a percentage of people that drive very expensive cars and always buy Starbucks. Then there's going to be that percentage that go to Bob Evans or Denny's and drink the 50-cent coffee and drive the junky car. Always. There is a market for what you do. You have to be found, make a clear message, and create and keep that client. So let's go back to our cycle. We're in this cycle and we're throwing money at it and we're struggling and we'll do anything to stay open, pushing a product or a service that just isn't selling no matter what we do. No matter how many black belts you say you have or you do have or your trophies or your title belts or your experience and credentials. What we have found, and remember, I opened a school. We still have a school 15 years later. So we have lived this. We're in the COBRA program, the inception was because of this. We realized that it doesn't matter if we say Joe Louis black belt, Jim Gray, and Elite Kick. They don't understand what that means. The only guys that care are the guys in our industry. So we created something that had mass appeal. And it brought people in. So back to the cycle. Now I'm 4 or 5 years in, or 3 years, whatever it is, and I start bringing in these add-on programs, anything that can make me money. This XYZ fitness and the next fad that I see out there that can make a school owner money, or the old gimmick, sign up 150 students in 30 days with my proven system. Does that happen? And then guys get upset and they get discouraged because they keep trying this stuff, but they keep focusing back on their traditional art or what wasn't working in the past, no matter what it was. We keep going back to that. Can't focus on this. Got to go back to that. And all this stuff that we keep trying never takes off because we're stuck in the cycle. We got to think outside the gi, guys. We got to break the cycle once and for all. You can teach your martial art. You can make money with your martial art. If you're leading with it and it's not making money, you have to have courage and make that change. I made that change. When I started, I had so many different instructors and backgrounds. I didn't know what to open up as. We call it United Martial Arts. Whoa, what was that? We had a lot of students, a lot of kids. That handful of adults. It was just confusing for them. And we had the circle and the triangle and the guy in the middle with the fist. We rebranded a long, long time ago. We took it all down and said, you know what, that's not making sense to the public. It's a mixed message. We rebranded. Everything is COBRA. and it just took off like a rocket in a difficult place with no signage. My third year in business, we had 3 hurricanes cross the state of Florida. Google the year of 3 hurricanes. I think it was Charlie, and I don't remember the other 2 names. Knocked my signs out, the ones that I did have. I didn't have the big marquee sign on the highway. The ones that I did have over my school, boom, knocked them off. Expense after expense. The AC broke, you know, a 10-ton unit. You know, that's $12,000. We've been there. We understand, you know, struggle and opening a school and having overhead and not knowing how you're going to pay this bill and that bill. And let me stop you right there. If you are successful with your traditional martial art, keep doing what you're doing. COBRA is just going to make you more successful. Add-on programs, consulting firms, they make very successful people even more successful people. If you're a millionaire, you hang out with billionaires. You can always get better. I know an instructor in New Jersey, Washington Township, Mark Moore. If you've never been to Mark's school, his school is called Underground Martial Arts. He literally started underground in a basement. I believe it was a church. I've flown up and trained with Mark. He's a COBRA instructor. He certified tons of staff under COBRA. He's an innovative individual, just like a lot of guys out there. He has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students in a non-traditional martial art. He has fitness programs. He has COBRA. He has all this stuff going on. He is extremely successful. When you walk in that school, you know you are in a business. Mark doesn't do anything else. He doesn't have a job over here. He's not struggling. Him and his wife, they run a very successful school with very loyal students. Underground martial arts. It's non-traditional. They don't wear a traditional uniform. They wear a shirt top. It's a great place to see, to go in and see all these, you know, smiling faces, and he's adding value to everyone, and he's legit. That's just one example of a guy teaching what he loves to teach, but knowing that he's got to add stuff here, here, and here to keep this train moving. He's got it down. We have a lot of guys like that. But if you are stuck in a rut and you've been teaching something, and just have the quiet conversation with yourself. A lot of martial art guys, they think, well, if I go do this over here, and let's say I go do COBRA or I go add this other program on, that would be admitting that my martial art isn't the best, or it's not good, or what I did was wrong, or I followed the wrong path. That's nonsense. Don't let your martial art become your religion. Religion and politics. Never talk about them, because you can't change anyone's mind. That's your opinion. That's what you believe. So if you came up in a traditional, let's say just traditional Okinawan karate, you've been doing it 20, 30 years. You're awesome at that. You're highly accomplished at that. If you're making a lot of money and paying your bills and living a good life, that's outstanding. This is that, you know, you may not need another program. But if it's your love, and you have a hard time training adults, kids are easy to get. They need discipline. They need to get in shape. Parents love putting them in the martial arts. It doesn't matter what they are. They won't even really ask. They don't even care. Little Johnny needs discipline. You're going to take karate. The adult market, the corporate market, the U.S. government, your local law enforcement, real estate agents, active shooter, anti-bullying. This is a huge market, guys. We got to break that cycle. It's just a Xerox copy over and over and over of a blueprint that didn't work to begin with. I love the martial arts. I train in the martial arts. When I train other adults in the martial arts, our kickboxing or our fighting systems, our fighting systems is a non-martial art, but let's say we're doing kickboxing one night. I'll put the gi on, or the shirt and the gi bottom, and we'll put all the pads on, and we'll be martial artists that night. And we have paying students as more traditional martial arts. However, 95% of our gross revenue comes from COBRA programs. COBRA Fit, COBRA Defense, the long-term program, COBRA Fighting Systems, all of our camps, all of our corporate stuff, and all of our security contracts, and our corporate and our PT training. So the overall message for this series is, if we can think outside the gi. Take that gi off, sit at the table, take out a pen, put a line down the center of a sheet of paper, previous business model, and what your achievements, accomplishments as your previous business, because you're going to turn the page. It's a new chapter in the same book. Remember, you're still teaching combatives. If you want to teach more people, this is the way to do it. Here is an example. I'm going to give you 2 examples. I always tell guys, you know, if you're operating your VCR sales and repair shop in 2016 and someone were to come up to me and say, you know, business is really slow, I would ask them, what kind of business do you own? Let's say I sell VCRs and beepers, and well, you're going to be a little slow because nobody really wants those anymore. But let's think about what they want. They want entertainment. So we're going to give them entertainment. I still want to watch the movie. I just don't want to watch it on the VHS and the VCR where it takes 20 minutes to rewind, and I want to watch it on new technology and flat screens and using a Blu-ray. So all you're doing is changing the vehicle to teach and reach more people. Second, this is what your market is going through, and this is how they respond and look for you. There is a lady, she's 40 years old, she's leaving a major grocery store or retail chain, and then she's assaulted verbally or physically, or something traumatic happens to her. She's the victim of a small or big crime. She runs home and her husband talk about it, and then she sits down and she opens the yellow pages. No, she doesn't. She looks in Google, the main search engine for the entire planet. And what does she put in there? Dance lessons, and let's say it happened in Clearwater, Florida. Dance lessons in Clearwater, Florida. I want Taekwondo, Clearwater, Florida. I compete in MMA, Clearwater, Florida. And remember, this is not a knock to anything. This is her. What is she going to be looking for? Women's self-defense, family self-defense. Personal safety, real self-defense. What do you think she's going to type in there? Personal safety, real self-defense, security training, whatever it is. She wants it, and she wants it now. They want that. They go through Google, they search, they list your area, the service they want. Are you going to come up? Are you going to be found? Are you going to be found and it's not a clear message? She goes to your site and everyone's wearing a karate uniform and holding weapons. That doesn't, to her or to the guy that was just beat up leaving an Applebee's by two drunk morons, that doesn't serve them. That doesn't give the message. Doesn't give the message of immediate, real self-defense and training. This is what they want. This is what the market wants. And this is what they're going to pay for. And that's why there's so much money in revenue to be made in what you guys are doing. We talk to a lot of professionals. We hear a lot of different stories. And the landscape has been changed for a very long time. Break the cycle. Think outside the gi. I can't tell you how many guys that give us their own testimonial. There's nothing better than opening up an email and it's unsolicited by someone that's been in COBRA 1, 2, 3, or 4 years, and they tell you, hey, listen, I just want to tell you what a great job you guys are doing, and by the way, I've doubled, tripled, quadrupled my business just by bringing in COBRA, all COBRA related. There's nothing better, because you know what? That means we're reaching more adults. We're teaching more people what we love to do. We're thinking outside the gi. We got the clear message. We're reaching more people, and that's why you start your business. Always ask, why am I in business? What has my business been producing for me? Is it worth going down this path? Is it worth trying to open a beeper and VCR shop? There's a reason the Blockbusters closed down. They knew that was coming. No one's going to come in and get the movies anymore. There's this new thing called Netflix out there. I can order it online with my controller in the comfort of my own home. It's still entertainment. The vehicle has changed. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this session. Remember, your art is your art. Keep the love for it. Keep training. Offer it to as many people as you can. Business is business. We want to help grow your business. If you're a current owner, you have to be to watch the executive coaching, but if you're racking your head and you have just started, we have all the resources in the world for you. We're a phone call away. Your online dashboard has thousands of hours of training and tips and marketing. Let's get it done, guys. For executive coaching, till next time.